I'm Margaret in Windsor, and I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see the rest of my face here. Oh, and then maybe I can afford to get one of those things you hold this with, or just stop for a little bit because my hands are numb, getting really bad. I wanted to put this up. I just put one up about HLN. It's an affiliate of CNN. And they used to have Nancy Grace on there from Atlanta. She was assistant district attorney there, and she knew about the Wayne Williams, all this. She had to. She was one of the best friends of the family of, and I've forgotten his name. I did meet him briefly, but anyway, she knows about the mind control murders, and yet she was on the affiliate of CNN. She's not there anymore. I don't know. Excuse me. I just ate some peas. I had. That was what I had. I get something tomorrow, hopefully. Anyway, uh, she told about a lot of this murders. She never once told about them being mind control used on them. So anyway, here's what I wanted to tell. Now this I kept watching CNN. I just put up a YouTube. I hope this one goes. They have gotten to okay, I was talking about, I hope I'm not being redundant. They've gotten to John well, now they're on John Lennon murder. That's when I worked for the district attorney, Fred Simpson. Simpson as in Wallace Simpson, married a double, not really my dad. Madison, Wisconsin. This is the Madison County DA, Fred Simpson in Huntsville. Madison County, or Madison, Wisconsin, my mom, Claudia Ruth, was born, the O'Keefes, that married my father, Edward VIII, and the Illuminati, your global government, that's what this is coming to. It already is, the chipping and all that, the beast, mark of the beast in Revelations. So now then, they've got it, it's a series on the most, what did I just say, worst crimes in the century. And oddly enough, these are all one by one that I know of that's been up tonight. Ones that I told were done in mind control in patterns. So now then, they had the David Koresh out in Waco, and I wanted to put my 2 bits in on there because Janet Reno ordered that. And they were all burned and killed, the kids and everything. Okay, she ordered the whole thing to go in and take them out, and that's what happened in Waco, and that was 93 February, I believe. She was under the working for it. She's a let me get this out tonight because I have a feeling maybe this is going to be told. I hope so. Janet Reno was appointed. Well, the Alabama, I'm going to have to stop. I'm just tired. Janet Reno was under the, I'm going to have to do this over. I'm tired. I don't even know if it'll go up. I turn the heat on. I have an autoimmune disorder and fumes come out and I'm sick and I wanted to get this up. Okay, Janet Reno was part of she's a U.S. attorney general, just like Sessions, who was just fired. He's from Alabama. And I thought that surely he would tell about me and all the crimes committed against me. I'm Margaret in Windsor. My father's Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. She married a double, an imposter, and became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. It was taken down to my dad because he would not follow orders given by the global government, the Illuminati, your Freemason, your Mafia, who came to be because they took my father down and invaded the UK. The prime target was to destroy the British Empire, South Africa, And I've put all this up, and I can't do it in one video again and make it. I'm just going to tell you what I can here, and maybe it comes to a close for the better. Oh, Janet Reno was the U.S. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. Attorney General, and Sessions was. Now he's gone. She served out her whole term under the Clintons. And God knows all you have to do is Google the Clintons and see the murders. And I have to wonder about Lee Brown, the police commissioner in Atlanta, when all this went down about me, and the Wayne Williams and Mary Welcome and all this. He became, I'm saying this because he's connected to the Clintons. He was their drug czar. He went from Atlanta in 80 or 81 to police commissioner in Houston, Texas. He was police commissioner several times, mayor a couple of times, and then he went on and maybe came back and became mayor. No, I think he went on to New York after the Clintons. Okay, another input I wanted to make here, maybe people who's watching this will make the reference, was that Martinez, when I was down there or just passed through there, November the 16th of 92, his daughter, Jennifer Martinez, went missing. Okay, later she was put back there at the fort on Clearwater. Wait a minute. Well, I'm forgetting some of the names here. I've done so many of these and videos trying to get them up. Fort Harrison Street in Clearwater Beach. Clearwater, right next to Tampa. Anyway, they put her back, and she was on the milk carton, one of the first missing children on the milk cartons. She hadn't been removed, but she was back there with the Rodriguez's, Gonzalez's, and I don't remember the other name. So now anyway, he went on to, he was mayor at the time of Tampa. Then he went on to be governor, and then he went on as drug czar under, Jeb Bush was the governor down there when I was down in Tampa. Okay, now then Martinez becomes the drug czar. He goes on to become the governor of Florida. So Jeb Bush is gone. So then he becomes drug czar under Bush's brother, Bush. So there you go, two drug czars that are weird here. Wow. Anyway, Janet Reno was the U.S. Attorney General, and she served out. And by the way, she was here in Roanoke, and the man that I got to as a cab driver most of the time back then, she was in his cab. And by the way, she was here, so that meant she was here in Roanoke. Also, there was this thing after who lived. Oh God, I've said his name. Some of these are old, and I can't. Eric Rudolph was supposed to have been the bomber of the Olympic Park in Atlanta. He was programmed totally. And he bombed a clinic in Alabama. But first of all, he was on the trail. I may have met him. I think I did. But he lived in South Carolina, North Carolina, the forest there for years hiding out. I don't know how he did it. Finally, he was arrested. By the way, this taxi driver, I believe this party told, and I think the news had it, that he had been, Eric Rudolph had been seen here in Roanoke in a cab. I think he was up on the trail here. I think I may have met him. Anyway, he was arrested, Eric Rudolph, in Murphy. That's very important in all this, the name Murphy. Southern North Carolina at 4 o'clock in the morning by a new deputy. I believe his deputy. He was in law enforcement, law officer, arrested him 4 o'clock in the morning getting food out of a dumpster. His name was Scott. So if you follow me, you know where I'm going with this. So now I wanted to get to this tonight. They're telling that that was the worst crimes in the century. And this is HLN, is an affiliate of CNN, oddly enough, who I took all this stuff to Turner Broadcasting, to them, all over the media before 1980, and then I was almost killed. I'd written a medical malpractice book, and it involved mind control and killing people, programming, and it can be done mass now. But the thing is, you can create an illness or cure it. You've always had cures for cancer and everything. The problem they got into, and I was telling about down there, was Dr. Robicher was head of psychiatry and law at Emory. Now, my connection to him was through my attorney, Eugene Kaiser, and Jean Srokerman. She was later killed at Piedmont Hospital, and some of the doctors involved in trying to kill me. But Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, that's where he was, and the Jean Srokerman murder happened on Christmas Eve of about 76 or 77. But there were other murders. Hardiman, what's he doing talking to my husband just before April Fool Day of 80, and I'm almost killed. And I also got a phone call. I wish to God I could have run then, and about a doctor who I trusted called me and asked me what I knew about the Srokerman murder. Anyway, I'm going to get off from that now. CNN, the ones they're telling are exactly the ones that I've told all these years that were done in patterns. Now I wanted to get this part. John Hinckley Jr. I was up there more than once in 82. Carried my book with the letters from the FBI. I had two, actually, and where I'd done the book and the rejection slips, and one was from Revell, I think it's a religious publication, publisher. Anyway, I had this on the outside, carrying the book to, and this is later in the year, and going to the media, and I actually worked up there and lived in Fairfax for a little bit. A rough time, rough. Nobody. One of the men from, he'd worked for CBS, and it was something about he lost his eye because he and his I think he said his stepson, went to, where is it, the camp that the president goes to, and he said they sit up in the trees there and actually watched the ground open up and helicopter or something go in. So anyway, he lost his eye, and I don't know if he still worked for, it was CBS. I left all this stuff with Sam Donaldson, boxes, went to other press, went to everybody. From back in 76 on up, when Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville by a program shooter, George Wallace was running for president, shot in Laurel, Maryland by a program shooter, and Lina Dempsey, mother of the twins where I was put there, that she had killed, and she's a horrible, horrible woman. She was working as volunteer in his campaign, and by the way, he didn't like her. She imposed herself. But anyway, I'm talking about program shooters, Larry Flint. I'm flown out to his place in 83 in the special election when this Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, was supposedly on the KAL, that went down August the 31st of 83. And I've told about that. Now I'm going to get to this, I think. The John Hinckley, I went back, took the book, I didn't have money for a cab, I didn't have a place to stay. I took the book and I sit in, because I knew I had to leave. That's a dangerous place to be without a place to stay, believe me. Any place is for me. But anyway, I took it and I logged it in with a letter on front, plainly the FBI letter, so there's no misunderstanding, signed by James Baker, a different James Baker. He's assistant U.S. attorney out of Atlanta. He signed the letter. He was assistant, but he signed it for Harper, U.S. Attorney Harper, and it's in reference to the FBI investigation, ongoing investigation, national security involved. So there's no misunderstanding there. I logged it in at the old mailroom there at the White House at the corner, and Secret Service are in there looking, watching on the grounds. Now then, the man that walks out from behind, and I logged it in and I gave it to him. He knew, I told him what was on the front. He looked, he took it, properly boxed and everything, copy of my book, letters, FBI letter. He was Ronald Reagan's stepson, and I can't remember his name. He hosts programs on radio, nighttime usually. So anyway, I leave, and the book was stolen. I'm not going to get into what was done to me in that long journey through there. I really wanted to get to this. It was the Hinckley was programmed. Now Hinckley was his parents were. I think I just put something up about this, but I may be redundant here. Hinckley, his parents were from Evergreen. I know I have Colorado outside Denver, and they ate dinner with the Bushes that night. And Bush was the vice president. Is that it? I'm trying to think, because Reagan was in office. I was up there and logged it in and all. So then the parents are having dinner with the Bushes, vice president, and their son goes out and shoots Ronald Reagan. And he's supposed to be in love with Jodie Foster. Now, I want to make this clear in what I've said before. He was diagnosed and said he was crazy. That he's mentally ill. There's no other way to put it. I've told you over and over, and it is so sad. They've used mental health as a means of putting these people away. It's mind control. The government's doing it, the Illuminati. And mind control has nothing to do with mental illness. They're using it. Now here is Hinckley, and he pled insanity. He didn't know he had a chip in him. And they put him at St. Elizabeth's Hospital outside D.C. So he stayed up there till a couple of years later. And you should hear on CNN tonight how all these people, I'm talking about professionals, psychiatrists, doctors who are supposed to know all about mental health, about all this, they either lied or they don't know what they're doing. Because this has got to come clean and be told, I pray. And you'll see how many reputations will be burned. Is that a good word? Will be destroyed because they lied. Or they don't know what they were doing and they didn't need to be in that position. So now then, I'm going to go on where? Well, they're talking about the John Lennon. So I said I was working in the district attorney's office, and I did say something about this a while ago, but I looked at it again. Mark David Chapman shot John Lennon. John Lennon was living at the Dakota Apartments, I think, in New York. And, of course, John Lennon's British. He was shot while I worked in November, while I worked for the DA in 1980 and killed. And, of course, they're using the Mark, and the David's my father's name, and Chapman, the C in Childers. And I think he was from Atlanta. And oddly enough, the Roanoke Times showed a piece out of the Roanoke phone directory from years ago, and that Mark David Chapman lived here on 8th Street, I think, in Roanoke. They did that in some kind of support. They didn't, I guess. Anyway, I don't know. This may be going off. I was talking about David Koresh and Reno, Janet Reno. There's something said to me about Reno.